Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria. Now, the 2023 presidential election may have come and gone, but it's not yet over until the Supreme Court rules and determine who actually won the presidential election that took place that day. And but the fallout is still reverberating across the country. And you can go and feel it in the social media. Go to Twitter. Nigerians are at war on Twitter. Nigerians are at war on Twitter. Very soon, if care is not taken, the war that is going on Twitter is likely to enter the streets. And when it enters the streets, that may mark the beginning of the end of Nigeria. Our leaders are saying that Nigeria is an indivisible country. We all agree that this country is better united, and I agree totally that this country needs to be one country and that this country needs to be united. But this country's unity must be based on social justice, equity, and fairness. That is what we are going to look at today, because the fault lines are widening. Nothing has exacerbated it, widened the gulf like the past 8 years, which culminated in the election of 2023. We may like to deceive ourselves, but even people that had unionists or advocate of indivisibility of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former president, one of the most patriotic of all past presidents of Nigeria, living or dead. He has said it severally that Nigeria has never been as divided as it is today. And this division has created a lot of fault lines. Now, before I go further on this, because I believe that this division has been widened by the politicians in the course of running for president and other positions in 2023. So I want to begin this by the quotation that was made by Emperor Haile Selassie I when he spoke at the formation of the Organization of African Unity in Ethiopia. And I read what he said. He said, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally discredited and abandoned, everywhere is war. And until there is no longer first-class citizen and second-class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, and until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, there is war. And until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, ruling of international morality will remain a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. This is quotation, you can pick it, you can situate so many things in it in respect of Nigeria. Until the philosophy that one ethnicity, one religion, one geographical zone is better than the others or superior than the others. Like Haile Selassie said, everywhere there is war. That is the thing that we have to look at. We must find a way to ensure justice, fairness, and equity in Nigeria. And that justice and fairness of equity and equity in Nigeria must not be left at the whims and caprices of Nigerian leaders. It must be enshrined in the Constitution. And I will get to that, and I will make my suggestion on the solution to this. And if you appreciate it, you can share it to as many people as possible so that people got to know that things must be done if we want to avert the disintegration of Nigeria. It may not be now, but certainly it cannot continue like this. Let me also quote for you Usman Danfodio. He said that a society can live with unbelief, but it cannot survive with injustice. The Constitution of Nigeria needs to be amended to ensure justice in the governance of this country. The problems created by a situation where the presidency has become the preserve of certain sections of the country need to be corrected. And it cannot be corrected by whims and caprices of individuals. It has to be corrected constitutionally through constitutional amendment. If not, we will be living in illusion. Like Haile Selassie said, we'll be deceiving ourselves about the indivisibility of Nigeria. That is a settled matter, as being trumpeted by our leaders like General Babangida, like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, and all other military leaders, like go on. This matter has to be constitutionally addressed. We have to revisit Dr. Alex Ekwueme, former Vice President of Nigeria, the recommendation he made during the 1995 National Conference, Constitutional Conference, that was set up by General Sani Abacha, the then head of state. Now, it was in that conference that Ekwueme first introduced the 6th geopolitical zone that we have today in Nigeria. But Abacha and co only pick and choose what they want. They didn't go the whole hog. Ekwueme recommended that we should have 6 geopolitical zones. The essence of that his recommendation was to ensure justice, fairness, and equity, to avoid any zone of the country feeling marginalized in the affairs of the country. He had proposed that the presidency should be rotated among the 6 geopolitical zones. It is not only that this man was so foresighted, even the derivation formula you are getting from derivation formula, all this 13% that I talked about, it was first mooted by Ekwueme. Now, he suggested that the presidency should be rotated among the 6 geopolitical zones. He also recommended 6 vice presidents from each of the zones. So at any time you have a president, there will be 6 vice presidents. And to show you that Ekwueme is a very foresighted person, if Nigeria had adopted that system, when Yar'Adua became president under the zoning arrangement of the People's Democratic Party, and Yar'Adua died, the person to replace Yar'Adua would have been this vice president from Northwest. There would have been no need for the acrimony that characterized the death of Yar'Adua, where some people never wanted Jonathan, who is from South, to take over. Because at that point, they felt the North in general, and then the Northwest in particular, felt that after 8 years of Obasanjo from Southwest, that power now is their own. This is their turn to govern the country. And now the man has died. And there was National Assembly has to make a special provision and all that. Even for Jonathan, who was vice president to Yar'Adua, to become an active president. And eventually became president when the man died. When the Yar'Adua died. And I can tell you that some of the division you are seeing in Nigeria today are the fallouts of what happened about that sudden change in the zoning arrangement of the PDP. That is why in this proposition, I'm saying we should not leave this issue of presidency and its rotation at the whims and caprices of political parties. You can see how PDP messed up the issue of zoning to the south at the run-up to 2023 presidential election. If that thing had been if there had been a constitutional issue settled, people like Atiku Abubakar had no reason going to buy a ticket to contest in that election. So this is one of the proposals that need to be pursued. National Assembly need to amend the constitution to ensure this. If they don't want this country to disintegrate, because already there is an arrogance of power. There is an arrogance of power. Go to social media. You see people telling you that people from certain part of the country will never be president. The constitution of Nigeria must be amended to ensure that all the zones of this country must produce president. If not, what will happen to Nigeria will be a child's play. What will happen to Nigeria will be a child's play compared to what happened to Yugoslavia. So our leaders have to do something about it, especially those in government should need to do something about it. So my position is that to avert disintegration of this country, there must be justice for all. The presidency of Nigeria should not be the prerogative of any section of the country. And I do not believe in the tyranny of majority in a multi-ethnic and multi-religious society like Nigeria. In a state like Benue, I do not see why people from Idoma's part of Benue cannot produce governor. But they can never produce governor unless we enshrine it in the constitution. That even the governorship position, it must be rotated among the three senatorial zones in any state, with 3 vice governors, deputy governors, so that in case a governor dies, there will not be a repeat of the Yaradua saga in any state. We must do all we could to ensure that this Nigeria we love so much remains united. But we cannot remain united on the face of injustice, on the face of arrogance of power, on the face of that some people are special breed. Only they can produce governor, whether they are good or bad. In fact, those who have been producing the president of Nigeria, if they had performed well, you cannot then begin to argue, okay, these people at least they were choosing because they were the best of best. Look at how they have turned Nigeria from first world to third world, from third world to first world. Instead, Nigeria is getting deeper and deeper into underdevelopment, which means even those who parade themselves with arrogance of power have failed to use power to develop Nigeria. But we cannot allow this to remain the prerogative of political parties. We know that APC, PDP, they have zoning arrangement. That is their internal party affair. And you can see how they mess it up. Before the 2023 election, people like the governor of Ondo State, who was sort of chairman of Southern Governors Forum and other, have to fight, struggle to say that the power must come to the South. Power must come to the South. And eventually power came to the South in terms of nomination of the candidates because these northern governors, for whatever reason, decided that the power, indeed, their presidential candidate should come from the South. So what if they didn't agree? So you cannot leave a critical importance, something of this important, in the hands of politicians. It must be enshrined in the constitution that power must rotate across the geopolitical zones to ensure justice, fairness, and equity, to guarantee the indivisibility of Nigeria. If not, the claim of indivisibility of Nigeria is just like Haile Selassie said, a fleeting illusion that will continue to be pursued and it will never be attained. Now, in the case of the states, already many states have begun to implement zoning, but it needs to be clarified in the constitution. For example, I know for a fact that in Niger State, since 1999, governorship positions have been rotated across three zones. There are three geopolitical zones. They call it Zone A, B, and C. That's how they refer to it in Niger State. I know that many other states have similar arrangements. But we also see a situation where people try to ensure that they sabotage it, like in Imo State, where it has been sabotaged severally, that the idea of zoning had been messed up by politicians. Even the so-called Imo something of equity will not work. The only way to guarantee fairness, justice, and equity nationally and locally is to ensure that it is written in the constitution. There is no zone in Nigeria that does not have men of character, men of capacity, who could be president of Nigeria. Or in a state, there is no zone or senatorial zone that doesn't have someone who can make a good governor or deputy governor. The arrogance of power, which has now been translated to insult on social media and everywhere, need to be curtailed. I'll tell you for free, what you are seeing now on the social media will still move to the streets. Why do I tell you this? You may look at social media that people on social media, they are first. That was how people were talking about Peter Obi, that his supporters, who are they? Until Peter Obi now, from all indication, he won more states. If the result of 2023 presidential election are recalculated and justice done to him, he won more states than those who claim that they have more support on the street. So the war you see being fought on social media, on Twitter, if we are not careful and move straight ahead to avert it through the making of enabling laws by Nigerian National Assembly, the days of Nigeria's continuous unity may be numbered. I'm not a prophet of doom. What I'm giving you is analysis based on fact, and I'm giving you what can solve the problem. No prayer can avert it. No prayer can avert it except justice. If General Yakub go and let him keep on praying, it will not avert what will envelop this country if injustice of leadership continue the way it is. This presidency must be rotated. Every part of Nigeria must be given a sense of presidency, and it must continue like that in perpetuity if Nigeria want to remain a united nation. That's my suggestion. If you think you have a higher suggestion, I know some people will say, oh no, what you need is just a president. We need to be electing correct. It can't solve the problem. Electing of correct leaders, saying you elect the president. No. Even the system will not allow you to elect a president who will be fair to all. Nigerian system will not allow you to elect a president who will be fair to all. So it is better that it is constitutionally enshrined that the presidency rotates. It could be one single term of 6 years, as Ekweme suggested, or it could be any other number. But the presidency cannot be the preservation of a certain section of the country at the expense of others. No matter how well intentioned, no matter what anybody talks about democracy, that is not democracy. That is the dictatorship of majority. And it shouldn't be allowed to work in a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. Nigeria is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. and the presidency of Nigeria, the governance of Nigeria, must be shared if we truly want to have a united nation. Or else, like tell you, Haile Selassie will say, we are just unity of Nigeria is an is can only be pursued, but it's an illusion that can only be pursued, but it can never be attained. So, if we want to avert the Yugoslavia situation, the National Assembly must be patriotic, and so Tinubu is the president right now. If the Supreme Court say that he is the rightful winner, then that is an agenda he has to pursue. If the Supreme Court say no, he didn't win, as another person won, whoever the Supreme Court identified as the winner of the election must work towards the amendment of this constitution to give a sense of belonging to all part of Nigeria constitutionally, and not based on the whims and caprices or the benevolence of anybody or any section of the country. That is the solution to guarantee the indivisibility of Nigeria. Now, the second law that needs to be made is that the issue of true federalism. True federalism had been a sing-song by Nigerian leaders, including the Afenifere, the Ohanese, even the ACF and others are beginning to buy into it. We need to have true federalism. Everything must be done to ensure true federalism. The center is too powerful. The center does so much. Things that need to be left for states are being handled by federal government. Things like the police, we should have local government police, community police, state police, federal police. All this will help to avert all this crisis of insecurity all over the country. So through federalism, in terms of the sharing of resources, in terms of security, in education, in health, even in judiciary, there should be true federalism. So the present administration or anyone that comes after it should be the agenda to pursue. Any other thing we are doing, we're just biding time. Like Haile Selassie said, I keep on referring to him. The idea of indivisibility of Nigeria will be a fleeting illusion that will continue to be pursued and never attained. Like Emperor Haile Selassie told the African Organization of African Unity. And it's applicable to what is happening in present-day Nigeria. So there should be true federalism. Now, if we do all this, we will help to make this country more united than ever. We will make this country, the indivisibility of Nigeria will then become an attainable prospect. But until we do that, we will be deceiving ourselves that this country will continue to remain united under the face of injustice. You saw, I quoted for you earlier on, Osman Danfodio. He says society can live with unbelief, can survive unbelief, but it cannot survive injustice. We cannot continue to have the injustice of certain set of people continue to dominate the governance of the country at the expense of others under the name of it is democracy. No. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The people can decide how their democracy will work. The survival of Nigeria's democracy and the united Nigeria is based on this proposal that I'm making. If not, the divisive elements will eventually have their way, one way or the other. I don't know how it's going to end up, but one way or the other, the divisive elements in our society, non-state actors like the Boko Haram and ISWAP that want to establish an Islamic state in Nigeria, the IPOP that want a separate country from Nigeria, the Odua People's Congress, like Igbo, they want a separate country for the people of Southwest. Eventually, they and people like militants in Niger Delta and elsewhere, it will go to the point where they can no longer be controllable. Even the state institutions will have become so divided that they cannot even contain them. So the sustainable solution to this is to go out by the way of the Constitution, through the National Assembly, through the Presidency, enacting the enabling laws to amend the Constitution the ways I have suggested to guarantee the unity of Nigeria. And to make this thing possible also, I have suggested that we do not need bicameral legislation in Nigeria. We have to remove the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is useless. We don't need it. What we need is the Senate. They are smaller in number. We can decide to reduce their remunerations, okay, to the manageable level. And besides, the House of Representatives is their numbers are not equitable. They are based on the Jundi's population census that are questionable, where you have some states bringing in many number of House of Representative members, while others are bringing a fewer number, based on questionable census that nobody even agreed about it. But the Senate is much more equitable. Every state has 3 senators. So we can go with that. Scrap the House of Reps. And now I can ask yourself, how would House of Reps vote against their own liquidation? They have to arise above self-interest. They have to rise to the level of people like Ekwueme, who act like statesmen, who put the nation before their own personal interests. They have to know that National Assembly, the House of Representatives, serve no purpose that Senate cannot do. So what's the point? After they pass it, they amend the Constitution, House of Reps will still go back to it, and then they say the 2 houses have to harmonize and all that. That's unnecessary, wasting taxpayers' money. That is the way to go. We need to amend the Constitution to reflect these things I talked about. Then you can then begin to talk about the indivisibility of Nigeria. It then begin to make meaning, begin to have sense, make sense. And Nigeria will be able to fulfill its potential as the giant of Africa, as a force to be reckoned with. It can then begin to compete with people like China, with India, and the United States, other hugely populated countries with diverse ethnicities and diverse religions. But until we do that, we are going nowhere. The future of Nigeria is not guaranteed under this level of injustice. Usman Danfodio said it. You better believe him. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you will be among the first to know. God bless. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. And if you like the kind of idea I shared here, please help share it to more people so that people will see it, the National Assembly will see it, so that they will see that there is fire on the mountain and that it is their responsibility to quench that fire by making amendments, necessary amendments to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that every part of Nigeria will have a sense of belonging, so that no race, no ethnicity, no religion in Nigeria will feel superior than any other in this country. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.